In 1989, a little girl named Momi stands on her school stage and dances, lost in applause and cheers. In that moment, she truly believes that one day she will become a shining superstar. But as she grows older, her looks slowly change. Even her mother can't help mocking her. "You want to be a singer with those looks?" The words cut deep. Momi can't understand why her mother is so pretty while she is so ugly. Later, she steps onto the school stage again, but this time there is no applause, only laughter and ridicule from her classmates. To them, she is simply too ugly. After entering high school, Momi loses any chance to perform at all. Even when she sits in the audience, people snap at her impatiently. "Scooch down, you're blocking the view." Time jumps to the year 2009. At 27, Momi is now an ordinary office worker. The same routine repeats every day, leaving her bored and empty. She clearly hates her job. One night, she suddenly decides to chase her dream in a different way. After getting home, she puts on a mask and a wig and starts live streaming as Mask Girl. In front of the camera, she confidently shows her body and dances without shame. Very quickly, countless men flood in, drawn by her sexy moves and her mystery. From that day on, Momi lives a double life. By day, she is an invisible office worker no one notices. By night, she becomes a hot online star, addicted to the feeling of being watched and desired. One day, a new secretary named Lee joins the company and kindly brings coffee to every manager. Her beauty immediately amazes everyone, but when the managers look at Momi, their faces fill with annoyance and disgust. Upset, Momi complains to her co-worker in private. She insists Lee must have had plastic surgery and mocks her for always trying to please men. Just then, another manager appears, Park. The moment Momi sees him, she is deeply attracted. To her, Park is almost too perfect, handsome, capable, and one of the few men who knows how to keep distance from women. His only flaw is that he's already married. Whenever she sees him focused on work, she can't take her eyes off him. But in truth, his so-called focus is actually him photoshopping his abs. Like every other man, he ignores Momi completely and often scolds her harshly at work. Even so, Momi falls deeper, silently loving a man she can never have. That night, during a team dinner, the managers keep urging Lee on to pour drinks. One female co-worker finally snaps and calls it out as open sexual harassment, starting a heated argument. In the chaos, one manager suddenly brings up the wildly popular streamer Mask Girl. Momi nearly spits out her drink in shock. Luckily, no one knows she is Mask Girl. After dinner, Park refuses the second round, saying he needs to go home to take care of his wife. Momi, thinking about her live stream, also makes an excuse to leave. Before going, she gathers her courage and asks Park for a ride. In the car, Park gets a call from his wife. He instinctively glances at Momi, then lies and says no one else is with him. Momi is confused. She can't help wondering, was he conscious of me? The thought secretly makes her happy, but she also feels she might be overthinking it. Back home, she talks about it on her live stream, trying to figure out why Park lied. Some viewers say Park has the hots for her. Others mock her, saying she's so delusional. Momi quickly kicks the latter out of the chat. The next day at work, Momi notices that Park looks serious, and she worries that something might be wrong. But in fact, he is just busy taking selfies. As always, a man's charm often comes from a woman's imagination. Later, when Momi sees Park harshly scolding Lee in public for a work mistake, she feels even more attracted to him. She even praises him to her co-worker, saying that he is serious when it comes to work. After work, however, kind-hearted Momi still comforts Lee in private, telling her, "Don't beat yourself up about Park yelling at you." When Momi reaches the subway station, she suddenly realizes she forgot her transit card and has to return to the office. At that moment, Park steps into the elevator just ahead of her. A sense of unease washes over her. Sure enough, in a dark meeting room, she catches Park and Lee having an affair. In that instant, Momi's heart completely shatters. The man she had admired for so long is nothing like the perfect gentleman she imagined. After returning home, she drinks to numb the pain and quickly gets drunk. She opens her live stream again, dances wildly, and even strips naked in front of all her viewers. When she wakes up, she is shocked to find herself naked in bed, and her live stream account has been banned for violating community rules. Reading the comments from her followers, She feels both angry and ashamed and slaps herself several times. Soon, she shifts all the blame onto that shameless Mistress Lee. At a group dinner, Momi deliberately tells several female co-workers about Park and Lee's affair. As expected, the rumor spreads quickly through the company. Some people even exaggerate the story, claiming that Lee is already pregnant with Park's child. When Momi hears that the two of them are in a meeting with HR, she unexpectedly feels a hint of guilt. That evening after work, she runs into Park, who is completely drunk and trying to rush into the road. She quickly stops him, calms him down, and calls a taxi. Not knowing his address, she takes him to a motel and kindly helps him take off his clothes. In his drunken state, Park instinctively pulls her into his arms. Momi feels secretly pleased, and in that moment, she makes up her mind. The next morning, Park wakes up, sees Momi's face, and completely freaks out. Without saying a word, he grabs his clothes and slips away. In truth, Momi has already been awake, and sadness instantly overwhelms her. Back at the office, she learns that Park has resigned, which leaves her feeling even more depressed. Just then, she receives an anonymous email. "I know you, mask girl." She is badly shaken and rushes into the restroom, but she has no idea who sent it. On her way home, she begins to suspect everyone around her. Suddenly, a man accidentally bumps into her. She completely loses control, believes he is harassing her, and even drags him to the police station. She even accuses him of sending her the threatening email. The man strongly denies it and sneers back, "Look in the mirror. Why on earth would I touch someone like you?" Even the police do not believe her and warn her that she could be charged with assault. Faced with prejudice and reality, Momi has no choice but to drop the charges and agree to a settlement. On her way home, Park sends her a text to apologize and says he does not remember anything from the night before. Momi lets out a deep sigh. At that moment, she finally sees him clearly for the scumbag he truly is. To make matters worse, her livestream account is banned indefinitely. However, one viewer named Once Upon a Prince is still online. Momi starts chatting with him and pours out her pain. He encourages her not to give up on live streaming and constantly praises her, calling her charming and attractive. What she never imagines is that this loyal fan is actually her co-worker, Onam. Like Momi, Onam has been mocked and bullied since he was a kid for being short and overweight. Over the years, he became quiet, withdrawn, and used to living alone. His only hobby is watching Japanese anime, and the only friend he has is a well-shaped plastic doll. One night, he is celebrating his birthday with his friend when his mother suddenly calls. He thinks she is calling to wish him a happy birthday, but instead, she scolds him for not sending money home and for not getting married. Onam does not dare talk back. He just sighs in silence. He is terrified of social interaction, especially of making eye contact with women. That is why he prefers looking at women's hands instead of their faces. He is also Mask Girl's biggest fan. One day, he notices that Mask Girl's nail design and the moles on her hands look exactly like his co-worker Momi's. From that moment on, he cannot take his eyes off her. He starts projecting all his feelings for Mask Girl onto Momi. In his imagination, they are a loving couple straight out of a comic book. Every night, he watches her live streams, as if he is going on a date with her. But at work, he cannot even bring himself to greet her first. He even attends the team dinner that day. But when he sees Momi getting into Park's car, jealousy almost eats him alive. What crushes him even more is watching Momi brag about her flirtation with Park during her live stream. Onam completely breaks down and leaves a desperate message. "If you date that man, I'll kill myself." After he calms down, he decides it is time to confess. That night, he stays late with her at the office and waits for her at the door. But a manager starts talking to him, so he does not see Momi leave. Much later, he sees Park and Momi return to the building one after another. Onam follows them and accidentally discovers that Park is having an affair with Lee. That night, the more Momi suffers, the more excited Onam becomes. To him, it means he finally has one less rival, but he never expects Momi to lose control on camera and even strip in front of everyone. Filled with anger and bitterness, Onam blames Park for everything. The next day, he publicly confesses to Momi in front of all their co-workers. To his shock, Momi not only accepts him, she even responds affectionately. But it is all just his imagination. He still does not dare confess his feelings to Momi. Even the slightest touch on his shoulder is enough to make him feel overjoyed. On his way home that night, he sees Momi getting into a taxi with a drunk Park. A bad feeling hits him, so he jumps into another cab to follow them. When he sees the two walk into a motel, his heart completely breaks. Consumed by jealousy and rage, he sends Momi a threatening email. Later, his mother calls again, saying she wants to bring him some food. He lies that he is not home and hangs up. At that moment, a message from Momi pops up on his screen. During their chat, Onam keeps comforting her and encouraging her. Feeling depressed, Momi says she wants to meet him and wishes someone could stay with her. But before Onam can react, she adds that another fan called Handsome Monk has asked her out for drinks. That night, Momi shows up fully covered at the meeting spot, but suddenly feel how foolish she's being. Handsome Monk rushes over and invites her to a restaurant. The whole time, Momi tries to hide her face, but he keeps pushing her to remove her mask. She finally gives in. To her surprise, he says she looks very attractive. He claims he grew up in the United States and says American guys love girls with her kind of single eyelid look. This is the first time in Momi's life that someone has ever called her pretty. She is overjoyed. But what she doesn't know is that Handsome Monk has been posting online in secret, recording their meeting. He mocks her for being shockingly ugly and even brags that no matter what, I'll get a taste. When Onam sees the posts, he is furious. He desperately tries to contact Momi to warn her. But Momi is completely lost in the man's praise and doesn't notice the calls. She even agrees to move somewhere quieter to talk, and they end up entering a motel together. After paying for the room, Handsome Monk pretends to be kind and steps out to buy alcohol. But the moment he leaves, his true nature shows. He regrets wasting money on her. At the same time, Onam rushes to the area, frantically searching for Momi. Inside the room, Momi notices many missed calls from Onam. Before she can call back, Handsome Monk returns with beer and starts touching her. Momi feels things are moving too fast and struggles to leave. He instantly shows his true colors, mocking her. "You're this ugly and still trying to play hard to get?" Momi snaps. She lunges at him, and the two start fighting. In the chaos, the man suddenly falls forward. His head slams into the sink, and blood pours out. Seeing this, Momi panics. She instinctively wants to call for an ambulance, but then she sees messages from Onam. After hesitating, she answers his call. When he arrives, Momi cries and says the man tried to rape her, and she only acted in self-defense. Calling the police seems like the only right choice, but Onam immediately stops her. He warns her that the police won't believe her. After all, she came to the motel willingly. Even if it was an accident, she could still go to prison. Momi breaks down, crying, completely lost. Onam quickly comes up with a plan. He tells her to go home and says he will stay behind to clean things up. After Momi leaves, Onam fully prepares himself to hide the body. Just then, the man suddenly wakes up. Onam freezes in shock, but in the next second, he completely loses control and attacks him again and again. Moments later, he lets out a long breath, but soon feels strong nausea. Meanwhile, Momi stands in front of a mirror and whispers, "This face is terrible." Shame completely swallows her. The next morning, Onam goes to work as usual, only to learn that Momi has quit. He goes to HR to collect her personal items, pretending he will deliver them for her, but actually just to get her address. He rings her doorbell again and again, but no one answers. He leaves in disappointment. Late that night, Momi quietly starts a live stream and tells viewers this will be her final appearance. Onam panics and rushes to her place, shouting that he knows she's inside. When the door opens, he tries to comfort her, saying that man deserved to die. He was nothing more than just a cockroach, but Momi suddenly exposes him. She reveals that he is the fan named Once Upon a Princess and the sender of the threatening emails. Onam hurriedly explains, claiming he acted out of jealousy. Momi suddenly bursts into wild laughter. She has already decided to start over and erase everything from her past, including Onam. To her, all men in this world are the same, disgusting. Onam instantly loses control and throws her onto the bed. Momi, completely hopeless, stops resisting. Suddenly, Onam senses something is wrong. He rips off her mask and is shocked to discover she has had plastic surgery. In the next moment, Momi jumps up and kills him without hesitation. After everything ends, she cannot stop sobbing in a low voice. After Onam goes missing, his mother Kim falls into deep fear and anxiety. Kim comes from a poor family and rushes into marriage through a blind date. The marriage lasts only 3 years before her husband cheats and leaves. After that, she takes whatever work she can get, saves every cent, and finally opens a small restaurant. She bets everything on her son, telling him to study hard, get into med school, and find a girlfriend who matches his potential. But raising a child is far harder than she ever imagined. Onam comes home every day covered in bruises, clearly bullied by his peers, but she never truly comforts him emotionally. In the end, Onam fails to get into medical school and remains single. After he starts working, he asks to move out and live alone. He even tells his mother not to visit him anymore. Kim does not give up. She carries home-cooked food and travels a long distance to his apartment, only to hear his cold reply, "I don't need it." Resentment builds up inside her and she stops answering his calls. But when she finally reaches out again, she discovers that her son has disappeared. Later, Kim heads to her son's place with the police. There, she not only sees a life-size doll, but also finds a dismembered body in the refrigerator. Kim is so shocked that she faints on the spot. In the hospital, the police tell her that the body is not Onam's, but they suspect Onam of murder. Kim completely loses control. She screams that her son could never kill anyone and drives the police out. The police then investigate Onam's workplace. They discover that the time of Onam's disappearance matches exactly with the time Momi quits her job, and that he has been secretly watching her for a long time. They rush to Momi's residence, but the landlord claims that Momi left Korea after getting plastic surgery. Therefore, the police suspect that Onam and Momi had run off somewhere together. Meanwhile, the case explodes in the media. News reports call Onam a pervert because he owned more than 2,000 illegal videos and many adult toys. Experts conclude that the expression of his desire would become twisted and found in the form of stalking and obsession. After seeing these reports, Kim is furious. She curses the police for being useless and decides to find her son herself. For this, she learns how to use a computer and memorizes the words young people use. She even closes the small diner she has run for years and withdraws all her savings. Once everything is ready, she successfully finds fan cafe for mask girl lovers. From an exposed post, she learns that the streamer is actually Onam's co-worker, Momi. She immediately realizes that this woman must be connected to her son's disappearance. Kim contacts the online fan cafe administrator, Teddy, who reveals a shocking clue. A few days earlier, he filmed a supermarket promotion and suspects that the girl dancing in the video is Mask Girl. Although her face looks different, her body shape and dance moves are almost identical. The only difference is that this girl's boobs look fake, while Momi's are real. Hearing this, Kim instantly concludes that Teddy is a pervert and that his words cannot be trusted. Late at night, she suddenly hears her son calling her, saying that he is cold. She holds him tightly in her arms, but in the next second, he turns into a cold corpse. She wakes up from the nightmare, and the phone rings immediately. The police deliver a cruel message. A backpacker has found a dismembered body in the mountains, and the victim is Onam. Kim collapses to the ground and cries out in despair. In that moment, all her hatred turns toward Momi. She swears to make her pay. Even though she is a Christian, she completely abandons her faith. She first goes to Momi's mother and demands that she hand her daughter over at once. The housekeeper explains that her employer cut ties with her daughter long ago and knows nothing about her whereabouts. Kim cannot stand the woman's cold, superior attitude. She explodes in anger and curses at her until the housekeeper calls the police. During casual conversation, the cop accidentally mentions that Momi's father died many years ago. With the investigation going nowhere, Kim's friends recommend a fortune teller who is said to be very accurate. Kim scoffs and shouts, "A churchgoer seeing a fortune teller? The Lord is watching." But the very next moment, she secretly visits the fortune teller anyway, pulling out a thick stack of cash just to learn where Momi is. The fortune teller performs a ritual and gives her a clear location, Gangcheon. By coincidence, the supermarket mentioned by the fan site admin is also in Gangcheon. Kim rushes there at once and starts asking around about the girl from the video. The employees confirm that the girl did work there, but she has not shown up for quite some time. Kim refuses to give up. She searches street after street. In the end, she unexpectedly spots the girl at a food stall. She follows her quietly and watches as the girl enters a nightclub. The security guards admit that the girl works there, but firmly refuse to let Kim inside. That night, Kim dreams again of her son crying out to her in despair. She watches Mask Girl hurt him, completely powerless to stop it. She jolts awake, only to see her son sitting beside her, coldly asking, "Why didn't you save me? Were you ashamed of me?" Kim keeps apologizing, then wakes up once more and realizes it was only a nightmare. This time, she makes up her mind. She will take revenge for her son with her own hands. She begins following the girl closely and even goes to the same hair salon on purpose. The moment she notices the necklace, a sudden chill runs through her. Back home, she replays Mask Girl's videos and sees the exact same necklace. By then, she is almost certain the girl is Momi. To carry out her revenge, Kim first rents a taxi and then buys a gun at a high price. Disguised as a taxi driver, she waits outside the nightclub until her target gets into the car. On the way, she lies and says her phone fell under the passenger seat, asking the girl to help look for it. As soon as the girl bends down, she is instantly knocked out by a stun gun. When the girl wakes up, she finds herself tied up inside an abandoned church. She screams for help, but no one answers. There is no one around for miles. Kim punches her hard and demands an apology. The girl completely breaks down, not even knowing what she did wrong. Kim pulls out a photo of her son and demands answers, but the girl looks confused and does not recognize him at all. Kim doesn't buy it and puts a mask on her, checking again and again to confirm that she is Momi. Just then, the girl suddenly seems to remember something and bursts into laughter. She claims she knows who Mask Girl really is and begins to tell the story between them. The story goes back to 1999. A teenage girl named Chunai transfers to a new school. Her name sounds tacky, and she looks plain. Very quickly, she becomes the target of teasing and exclusion. There is a popular boy in her class named Buyong. Chunai falls for him at first sight, but she never dares to look him in the eye. By chance, Buyong walks into the convenience store where Chunai works. He starts a conversation with her and even asks her to break the rules and sell him cigarettes and alcohol. Facing the boy she secretly likes, Chunai agrees without hesitation. Soon after, Buyong invites her to his birthday party. Chunai is overjoyed and wrongly believes that he likes her too, but she quickly realizes his real goal is simply to borrow money from her. After that, Buyong borrows money more and more often, yet he never keeps his promise to pay her back. Chunai does not mind, until one day she sees Buyong shining on stage as a famous idol. She sends him a message to congratulate him, but never receives a reply. One day, she brings a gift to see him, but he pretends not to know her in front of everyone. Chunai refuses to give up and secretly sneaks into his apartment building, only to overhear Buyong bragging to his friends, "Chunai was one of my bank accounts. When I was at my peak, I had about 10 or so." Hearing this, Chunai completely breaks down. She never expects her years of secret love to be nothing but a joke. Blinded by anger, she exposes Buyong's scandals online, and his career collapses overnight. After that, she chooses plastic surgery and completely changes her appearance. 10 years later, Chunai meets Buyong again. By now, he has lost all his fame and lives as a broken, ordinary man. Maybe out of guilt, or maybe out of leftover love, she takes Buyong back to her home. To support him, she has no choice but to work at a higher-paying nightclub. With her striking looks and sexy dance moves, Chunai quickly becomes the star of the club. Meanwhile, Buyong grows lazy and sloppy, spending his days gaming and doing nothing. Back in the present, Kim grows impatient and warns Chunai to stop talking about useless things. Chunai quickly explains that the next part of the story is about that girl. 2 months ago, a new dancer arrives at the nightclub, Momi. She is stunning, and the moment she appears, she steals all the attention, along with Chunai's regular customers. The two clash, But even the boss clearly sides with Momi, telling her not to argue with a loser. Later, Chunai accidentally picks up a necklace that Momi leaves behind. Soon after, she quits the nightclub and never sees Momi again. After finishing her story, Chunai swears that she is definitely not Momi. She even stresses that Momi's breasts are real, while hers are silicone implants. Kim temporarily believes her and orders her to find out where Momi is. To stay alive, Chunai has no choice but to agree. After they part ways, Chunai goes to a goshiwon. Unexpectedly, the person she is about to meet is Momi. It turns out she lied to Kim. In truth, Chunai really did meet Momi at the nightclub. But when they first meet, there is no hostility at all, only the feeling of old friends meeting again. Their lives are strikingly similar. Both long to become beautiful, both have been hurt, and both want a fresh start. Because of this, they quickly grow close and trust each other. Momi even gives Chunai her most precious necklace. One day, Momi falls sick in bed but refuses to go to the hospital. Pressed by Chunai, she finally confesses that she has killed someone. After hearing the truth, Chunai does not feel fear. Instead, she breaks down in tears for Momi. From that day on, she swears to protect her. The memories end. Chunai urges Momi to leave as soon as possible, but Momi has nowhere to go. Even if she goes home, her mother may call the police the moment she sees her. That night, Chunai returns home. Seeing trash all over the floor, she finally snaps. She orders Bu-yong to leave at once, or she will call the police. Bu-yong suddenly asks why she ruined his life. It turns out that Chunai never changed her online username all these years. Because of that, Bu-yong traced her down and found out she was the one who exposed him long ago. He demands money to cover his losses and beats her badly. Meanwhile, Momi runs into a boy on the street who turns out to be the manager of Mask Girl fan club. For days, he's been following Chunai. By watching body details, he confirms that Momi is the missing Mask Girl. Momi is disgusted and tells him to get lost and stop bothering her. She rushes back to her place, packs her bags, and plans to leave. There, she unexpectedly finds Chunai covered in wounds. In the end, the two women make up their minds to escape together. Late at night, while Bu-yong is asleep, Chunai quietly enters the room. She carefully packs her things and takes the puppy with her. At that moment, Bu-yong suddenly wakes up. He realizes she is trying to run and beats her again, even more brutally. At the critical moment, Momi arrives and stops him. In fear and chaos, the two women work together and finally end his life. At the same time, Kim receives a message from Teddy. The message says Chunai and Momi know each other, and the real Mask Girl is Momi. Realizing she has been fooled, Kim drives straight to Chunai's house, only to see the two women moving a body. In the long night, they have no idea where to run. Then Momi tells Chunai she is pregnant. The father is Onam, the man she killed. She decides to keep the baby. Maybe the child will not be pretty, just like her, but she will encourage the child. She will tell the child, "You are beautiful." These are words her own mother never said to her. Chunai smiles. She says that if they still have a future, she is willing to raise the child with Momi. At the lake, as they prepare to take the suitcases out of the car, Kim catches up with them. She raises her gun and growls, "You deserve to die painfully." To protect each other, both women admit they are Mask Girl, who killed Onam. Kim has lost all patience. She just wants them both dead. As she pulls the trigger, the gun jams. The two women immediately rush forward, but a gunshot follows. The bullet hits Chunai. She falls to the ground, barely alive. Momi tries to stop Kim from picking up the gun, but she is no match for her. With her last strength, Chunai knocks Kim unconscious, and then dies in Momi's arms. Momi cries in despair. She cannot understand why the ones who die are always the unfortunate. When morning comes, the car carrying Kim and Bu-yong slowly sinks into the lake. Time jumps to 2011. Momi turns herself in at the police station. That day, reporters crowd in, and all cameras are pointed at her. In a daze, Momi feels an illusion, as if she has finally become a star, standing on a stage made just for her. In court, Momi pleads guilty to all murder charges and is sentenced to life in prison. The case explodes overnight, and she suddenly becomes the center of public attention. Even more ironic, people talk not only about her crimes, but also about her outfits, which somehow turn into a trend. Time goes back to 2010. Momi stands outside her mother's house and begs her to take in her daughter, Mimo, for a while. But once she leaves, she never comes back. Mimo ends up living with her grandmother for 7 years. Like her mother, she loves dressing up, but her grandmother often scolds her for it. She dislikes her grandmother's cooking and prefers snacks from the street stall near her school. Then one day, her life is turned upside down. She learns the truth. Her mother is a notorious serial killer, Mask Girl. After getting home, Mimo searches the internet non-stop for news about Mask Girl, slowly piecing together her mother's past. Little by little, she begins to fantasize about her. She puts on a mask and copies her mother's dance, as if that can bring her closer. When her grandmother sees this, she is furious and throws her out of the house. Mimo cries and begs her not to abandon her, then collapses from exhaustion. In the end, her grandmother softens and carries the sick child back home. When Mimo quietly asks what her mother was really like, her grandmother only says coldly, "She was a lost cause from the very start." Soon, rumors spread that Mimo's mom is a monster. Mimo believes her best friend betrayed her and strikes back, which forces her to transfer schools. But no matter where she goes, the rumors follow. She starts to rely more and more on violence. Her behavior grows rebellious, and she often ends up in juvenile detention. This time, Mimo transfers to a new school and sits next to a girl named Ye-chun. Ye-chun has no friends in class. She tries hard to fit in with the other girls, but is met with nothing but indifference. With no choice, she walks up to Mimo and asks if they can be friends. Mimo replies coldly, "I don't need any friends." After school, while taking out the trash, Mimo runs into Ye-chun being bullied. She makes noise on purpose, which angers the girls. The next second, Mimo smashes a window, grabs a shard of glass, and snarls, "Mess with me again and I'll kill you." The girls panic and run away. Ye-chun gently presses a tissue on Mimo's bleeding hand. From that day on, the two grow closer. Still, Mimo stays guarded and never talks about her past. So Ye-chun shares her own secrets first. She says she once wanted to kill her mother just because her mother wouldn't let her adopt a sick stray cat. Mimo shows no reaction and turns to leave. Ye-chun keeps talking. She says her father often beat her mother when he was drunk, and once she almost killed him by accident. Just then, heavy rain starts to fall, and they hide in a stairwell. Ye-chun lowers her voice and says the woman she calls Mom is not her real mother, but her father's lover. Faced with Ye-chun's honesty, Mimo finally opens up. She says her mother is in prison, and she doesn't even know who her father is. To comfort her, Ye-chun suddenly kisses her and says, "I think you're really special." After sharing their secrets, the two become close friends, but in truth, Ye-chun grows up in a very happy family. Her father never drinks, and that woman is indeed her real mother. She makes up a tragic past only to have something in common with Mimo. As time passes, the two girls become closer and share everything. One day, Ye-chun suddenly grows curious and asks why Mimo's mother went to prison. After a brief silence, Mimo answers softly, "She killed someone." Ye-chun is shocked, yet still feels deep sympathy for her. After returning home, Ye-chun can't help but search for news about female prisoners in Korea. To her surprise, she discovers that Mimo is actually the daughter of Mask Girl. She finally understands why Mimo always wants to run away and go somewhere no one knows her. To help Mimo make that wish come true, Ye-chun secretly sells her younger sister's baby walker, but the money is far from enough. Mimo says she knows someone who can lend her money and has helped her before. Ye-chun refuses. She wants them to find a way on their own, not depend on others. The next day, Ye-chun tries to sell her treasured celebrity cards to little kids. She is spotted by a group of delinquent girls who accuse her of scamming children and beat her badly. This time, Ye-chun does not back down. She coldly warns, "If this continues, your life could be in danger. Do you know who Mimo's mother is?" Meanwhile, Mimo goes to a cafe and tries to steal a laptop, but she is caught while escaping. Her grandmother storms into the police station, slaps Mimo in public, and orders her to get out of her house at once. Mimo says she never planned to go back anyway, then runs out of the station in tears. She calls Ye-chun and asks to stay at her place for one night. Ye-chun lies and says her alcoholic father has caused chaos at home, gently turning her down. With nowhere else to go, Mimo returns to school and spends the night there. Early the next morning, she accidentally hears two girls talking about her being Mask Girl's child. Mimo completely breaks down and runs away from school. Soon after, her grandmother comes to school asking about her whereabouts, while Ye-chun also cannot reach her. After school, Ye-chun visits all the places they often go, but still cannot find her. On the way, she runs into her families and goes home with them. From a distance, Mimo watches their warm family scene and feels utterly betrayed. Not long after, Mimo calls Ye-chun and asks to meet. When Ye-chun arrives, Mimo glares at her, accuses her of spreading rumors, and then violently beats her in a fit of rage. Nearby, Kim watches with a satisfied, scheming smile. The story returns to 2012. Momi is transferred to prison. Other inmates have long heard of Mask Girl. Out of curiosity, they crowd around her and ask about her plastic surgery in detail. Suddenly, the crowd quickly parts. The prison's top boss has arrived. Her name is Anne. She has close ties to powerful figures in politics and business, and even the warden treats her with respect. She is in prison for hiring people to brutally dismember her husband and his mistress. Anne calls Momi over and slaps her without warning. "You look too much like the woman who seduced my husband," she says coldly. "If you want to live, don't let me see you again." At lunchtime, Momi notices a prisoner being refused food by the kitchen staff. A cellmate whispers that the woman is accused of adultery, and Anne has ordered that such women be starved for 3 days. Unable to bear it, Momi shares her own food with her. This act immediately enrages Anne. She orders her followers to beat Momi and warns her not to meddle again. Momi does not back down. She fights back on the spot. In the end, she is the only one sent to solitary confinement. After the punishment, her cellmate warns her that if she wants early parole, she must follow the rules and keep a low profile. But Momi refuses. She attacks the same woman again and is sent back to solitary confinement once more. Every time she gets out, she goes straight to that woman for revenge and wants to lock her in solitary forever. But the warden says this breaks the rules and fears an investigation. In the end, Anne steps in and suggests that they stay away from each other and keep the peace. Only then does Momi stop. This round she wins. 10 years pass in a blink, and Momi reaches middle age. A new warden arrives and speaks with devotion. "Before God, everyone is equal. I will judge no one with bias." At first, the prisoners feel comforted by her words and even see hope. But in truth, she is merely another one of Anne's lackeys. One day, Momi receives her first letter since entering prison. Inside is an article attacking her mother and daughter, hinting that violence runs in the family. There is also a note. "It's your turn to feel what it's like to have your child destroyed." Though she does not know the sender, Momi senses danger closing in. She tells her cellmate that no matter what, she must get out of here. The next day, in the sewing room, she secretly stitches pieces of cloth into a rope and hides it in her clothes. Later, she lies about going to the restroom and hides the rope in a quiet corner. During farm work, her cellmate suddenly make a loud scene and draw everyone's attention. In the chaos, Momi hides a shovel and slips away. She uses the tools around her to make a simple grappling hook and starts climbing the wall. But the rope suddenly snaps, and the guards catch her on the spot. Momi is sent back to solitary confinement again. The warden pretends to care and gives her a Bible, telling her to repent. A month passes, and Momi seems truly changed. Even her cellmate notice that she is no longer the same. Momi firmly believes she has become a child of God. She begins preaching to other prisoners, saying, "God saved me. From the moment I walk with God, everything changes." One day she sees Anne hiding in a corner crying alone. Her cellmate explains that Anne's daughter urgently needs a kidney transplant, but they are not a match. Momi barely hesitates and offers to donate her kidney to Anne's child. After 3 rounds of tests, the match is successful. Anne hugs Momi in tears and thanks her again and again. The next day, as usual, the warden invites volunteers to help rehabilitate the inmates. An elderly woman suddenly stops Momi and proudly introduces herself as Onam's mother. She demands to know why Momi never replied to her letters. The scene cuts back to 2010. Kim suddenly wakes up and finds herself trapped in a sinking car. She quickly fires a gun to break the glass and narrowly escapes. She believes this is a new life given by God, so she can punish Momi. To avoid the police, Kim undergoes plastic surgery and creates a new identity. After that, she devotes herself to finding Mask Girl. But a year later, she sees news of Momi turning herself in. She tries to let go of her hatred, but she never truly can. When she first saw Mimo, her hatred naturally shifted to this innocent little girl. It turns out that Kim is the old lady who has been selling snacks near Mimo's home all along. She pretends to be kind to Mimo and wins the child's trust. Then, she secretly spreads rumors, telling customers that Mimo's mother is Mask Girl. She guides students and parents to isolate the girl. As Mimo cries and confides in her, Kim even encourages her to fight back instead of enduring it. No matter where Mimo moves, Kim follows her. That is why rumors keep chasing Mimo wherever she goes. More importantly, Ye-chun never reveals any of Mimo's secrets. From beginning to end, the real person pulling the strings is always Kim. What no one expects is that Mimo, with nowhere else to go, runs to Kim for help. Back in the present, Kim leans close to Momi and whispers, "You need to feel what I've felt all these years." Momi completely loses control and screams in hysteria. "That woman is Onam's mother. She's going to kill my daughter." However, the prison guards ignore her warning entirely and lock her back into solitary confinement. Meanwhile, Kim quietly begins her revenge plan. She pretends to be warm and gentle, making Mimo feel safe staying in her home. The innocent Mimo has no idea how much danger she is in. Ironically, Kim also doesn't know that this little girl is actually her granddaughter. On the other side, Mimo's grandmother rushes to the police station to report her missing. But because Mimo has run away many times before, the police refuse to take the case. After leaving the station, she suddenly receives a call from Mimo. The girl coldly tells her to stop looking for her. This time she says she will disappear for good. Before her grandmother can beg her to come back, the call is cut off. Soon after, Momi calls. She has never stopped worrying about her daughter and secretly asks Anne for help. But the gap between mother and daughter is too deep. Momi's mother does not want to say a single word to her and hangs up immediately. Momi tries again, but the call time runs out, and the guards forcibly pull her away from the phone booth. Later, Anne manages to find Mimo's school and tells Momi that she can call the school herself to confirm her daughter's safety. Momi immediately dials the number and waits anxiously for her daughter to answer. Just as the call is about to end, a girl picks up. Momi instantly senses something is wrong, and her instinct is right. The call is answered by another student pretending to be Mimo. All of this is carefully arranged by An. She even hires a student who looks very similar to Mimo, takes photos and gives them to Momi, just to calm her down and make sure she goes through with the transplant the next day. That night, Momi lies alone on the bed and quietly tears up the photo of her daughter. Clearly, she has already realized that Anne has been lying to her all along. Meanwhile, Kim buys everything she needs to kill Mimo. But when she returns home, Mimo is gone. As Kim searches frantically, Mimo suddenly walks out holding a cake. She sings a birthday song and wishes Kim a long life. It is clear that Mimo truly sees her as her real grandmother. Kim is deeply moved, but she still cannot let go of the hatred in her heart. While Mimo is asleep, she quietly slips into the basement and starts setting up the murder she has planned for a long time. The next day, Momi says goodbye to her cellmate and secretly gets into an ambulance, heading to the hospital. After entering the ward, she first sends one prison guard away, then claims she urgently needs to use the bathroom. However, the other guard handcuffs her and insists on staying close to watch her. Momi protests on the spot, saying this violates her rights and even threatens to refuse the kidney donation if they keep treating her like this. Afraid of ruining the operation, the guard unlocks the cuffs. Unexpectedly, Momi knocks her out with a toilet lid, jumps out the window, only to be hit by a car. She endures the pain and forces herself up. Then she steals a car and flees in panic. When the news reaches them, Anne and the prison warden both explode in anger. Meanwhile, Mimo's grandmother recalls a snack vendor named Kim, whom Mimo was close to, and manages to get her contact info and address. But no matter how many times she calls, no one answers. That's when Ye-chun shows up, warning that the snack vendor seems shady. The two immediately take a taxi to Kim's house. On the way, Yechun says she has secretly been investigating who spread rumors about Momi, and all clues lead to Kim. At the same time, Momi calls her mother again, warning that Onam's mother may hurt Mimo. The old lady says she is already on her way to Kim's house and gives Momi the address. Fearing Yechun might be put in danger, she asks Yechun to get out of the car halfway, then calls the police and asks them to search Kim's home. But anxious to save her friend, Yechun hails another cab and rushes after her. On the way, Momi's car suddenly stops on the roadside. It has run out of gas. She flags down a passing car and lies that her husband beat her, begging the driver for a ride. At that moment, the radio starts broadcasting news about Masked Girl on the run. The driver realizes that the woman beside her closely matches the wanted description. Sensing that her identity is about to be exposed, Momi quickly gets out of the car and takes a shortcut toward Kim's house. Meanwhile, Kim prepares a large lunch for Mimo and secretly puts sleeping drugs into the soup. Unaware, Mimo says she wants to work hard and someday take Kim on a vacation. None of this awakens Kim's conscience. Instead, she keeps urging Mimo to drink the soup. When Mimo wakes up, she finds herself tied up in the basement. Kim hysterically vents her hatred toward Masked Girl and even records Mimo's final moments. Yet when Mimo says she feels cold, Kim still takes off her coat and puts it over her. At this time, the police arrive, saying they received a report of illegal confinement. The male officer searched the house but find nothing unusual. Thinking it is a prank call, he prepares to leave. Just then, Momi manages to tear off the tape from her mouth and screams for help. As the police hesitate, an urgent message comes through the radio. Masked Girl has fled into the mountains, and all units must respond immediately. Kim returns to the basement and coldly tells Mimo that she must pay for her mother's sins. Meanwhile, Momi is already standing on a hillside, seeing Kim's house from afar. Her mother arrives first and confronts Kim face to face, desperately begging her to spare the innocent child. Kim pushes her to the ground and screams out of control, "Then what did my son do wrong?" At that moment, Yechun runs in. The old lady tightly holds on to Kim, signaling Yechun to go to the basement and save her granddaughter. Yechun quickly explains that she never leaked Momi's secret and rushes to untie her. Outside, Kim grabs a pair of scissors and stabs toward the old lady. At the critical moment, Momi arrives in time and knocks Kim out from behind. She doesn't even have time to check her mother's injuries and immediately rushes to the basement to save the children. But Kim suddenly appears again, blocking the exit with a blood-stained knife in her hand. Momi realizes her mother is likely doomed. She completely breaks down and fights with Kim just to buy time for her child to escape. Seeing her grandmother lying in a pool of blood, Mimo collapses in tears. Her grandmother keeps apologizing to her, then takes her final breath. In the basement, the two women fight fiercely, neither willing to give in. Kim uses all her strength and rushes forward, but in the end, only Momi staggers out of the basement. They have won. As the three step outside, they find the police have already surrounded the area. With nothing left to regret, Momi raises her hands to surrender, but Kim suddenly rushes out again and fires at Mimo without hesitation. The police immediately return fire and shoot her dead. Momi steps in front of her daughter, taking the bullets for her, and finally collapses into Mimo's arms. Everything falls silent. Later, Mimo is adopted by Yechun's parents. Her life slowly changes. Her heart is no longer filled with hate, and her mother never appears in her dreams again. One day, while sorting through old things, she finds a videotape from her mother's childhood. In the video, young Momi says with confidence, "My dream is to become someone who's loved by everyone." Mimo stares at the screen as silent tears roll down her face.